Now, over the course of time with NHL games, we have had a lot of great cover athletes, guys such as Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and Trevor Zegras. One of these are definitely not like the others. So what I've done is I've gone through the entire NHL and all the active players that have been on an NHL cover. I've upgraded them to a 99 overall, and I also have brought a few familiar faces back to the NHL. I guess you might want to call them legends. So starting off with the Anaheim Ducks, yes, Trevor Zegras was on the cover of NHL 23. He's up to a 99. I also brought back Jarome Iginla, the Flames legends. Yes, he was also on an NHL cover. Moving on to Colorado, they are actually going to have two 99 overall players on their roster, Peter Forsberg and Cale Makar. Now for the Detroit Red Wings, technically Patrick Kane was on the Chicago Blackhawks when he was on the cover in NHL 10, I believe. But since he currently plays on the Red Wings, he's going to stay there, 99 overall, 34 years of age. The Oilers are one of the other teams that are going to have two 99 overall players in Wayne Gretzky and Connor McDavid. McDavid, I believe, was on the cover of NHL 18, and Wayne Gretzky was on a Legends edition, and I believe one of the older NHL games. This would not be a true video if I didn't have the great one. Florida Panthers are going to have Vladimir Tarasenko at a 99 overall. He was on the cover of NHL 17. The New Jersey Devils are going to have one of the only goalies to ever grace an NHL cover in Martin Brodeur in NHL 14. So he is back in the NHL, 27 years old, 99 overall. The Ottawa Senators are going to have a 99 overall Claude Giroux, who was on the cover of NHL 13. I brought back Eric Lindros for the Philadelphia Flyers. They now have a absolute superstar on their roster. The Pittsburgh Penguins are going to bring back Mario Lemieux, 99 overall, 27 years old. Also Crosby, for some reasons, down at a 92. But still, having Lemieux, who's also on an NHL cover on their roster, will definitely improve them. Tampa Bay is going to have Steven Stamkos, who was on the cover of NHL 12. He's up to a 99, also 33 years old. So they are going to be much, much improved. I mean, they're already a really good team. The Toronto Maple Leafs, of course, are going to have the two-time cover athlete in Austin Matthews, who was on the cover of NHL 20 and NHL 22. Moving along to the Vancouver Canucks, they are going to have Marcus Naslund up at a 99. He was on a former cover. And finally, the last guy that I upgraded is going to be none other than the greatest goal scorer in the history of the NHL, Alexander Ovechkin. Ovi was on two different covers in NHL 21 and, of course, NHL 07. Now that we know every single player I bumped up to a 99 overall, we're going to go ahead and simulate 5 full seasons. See which teams dominate, see which players dominate, and find out who were the best cover athletes in the history of EA Sports. Now, I also could have included 2K cover athletes, but maybe we'll save that for a separate video. Before we go ahead with the simulation, if you guys do enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video or live stream that I put out. We also have merch. Check it out. The link is in the bio. And now let's get right into the video. So, at the end of season number 1, the Florida Panthers are going to go ahead with a 99 overall Tarasenko. He's going to win 50 games. Colorado, of course, is always going to be very good. Tampa Bay was up there. Dallas, Ottawa, and Vancouver. If we take a look at the bottom, we have the Washington Capitals, who, I mean, don't have the greatest roster. They just barely snuck into the playoffs in real life, even with a prime Ovi. Not going to be able to make it. Anaheim was bad. San Jose and Le Montreal. Austin Matthews is going to go ahead and lead the entire NHL in goals with 78 and points with 125. If only he could do this in the playoffs instead of leaving the third period for a stomach illness. Did bro really have to go shit that bad? Followed by Nylander, who had 111. Eric Lindros had 107. Claude Giroux was up there. Lemieux had a good season. Mitch Marner had 104 points. Draisaitl, Patrick Kane, and the great one in Gretzky. If we take a look at the goals here, other than Matthews, of course, Pasternak is going to lead with 59. Followed by Mario Lemieux, 58. Draisaitl had 55. Nazem Kadri was up there with 46. Steven Stamkos had a good season at 43 goals. He's having a very good playoff run right now. I shouldn't really say playoff run, but he's been very good in the playoffs. Now for defenseman, Cale Makar is pretty much going to dominate this simulation, considering he's one of the only defensemen. Cale Makar is going to lead all defensemen in scoring with 95 points, also at 15 goals. He's pretty much going to dominate this simulation, considering I think he's the only defenseman that I bumped up to a 99. Alexander Georgiev is going to lead all all goalies and wins with 44, followed by Demko's 42. Bobrovsky was up there. Martin Brodeur did have 36 on the season. And for shutouts, it's going to go to Ilya Samsonov, who's going to end up with 6 on the year. And here we go. The Stanley Cup playoffs are finally here. These are our matchups for season number 1. We are going to go ahead and find out who makes the Stanley Cup finals. And in the Stanley Cup finals, we have the Vancouver Canucks up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So a 99 overall Stammer and a 99 Naslund. Let's see who's going to go on and take home the Stanley Cup at the end of season number 1. And the Vancouver Canucks are going to pull off a Game 7 upset here in Tampa Bay to go on and finally win their first Stanley Cup in their franchise's history. No more the jokes of 2011 and I believe sometime in the 90s when they lost to the Rangers. They are now forever Stanley Cup champions. Marcus Naslund was the missing piece all along, as now they are finally going to win the Stanley Cup. The Conn Smythe will go to JT Miller. He had 15 goals and 27 points. A very good playoff run. Definitely cannot be overlooked is the word I'm looking for, I believe. As JT Miller is a good player. He put up over 100 points this season. 90, I believe, last year as well. It's been like 3 years in a row. He's been like a 90 and above point player. As there it is, the Stanley Cup finally about to be raised to the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, Bobby Lou, I wish you were still the starting goalie. As here comes the captain, Quinn Hughes, coming to lift it for the first time in his career, as the Vancouver Canucks in the very first season have gone all the way. Steven Stamkos is going to go ahead and lead the playoffs in scoring with 33 points, followed by Nikita Kucherov, who had 31. Braden Point was up there at 29. JT Miller, 29. Of course, he ended up winning the Conn Smythe. Pettersson at 27. Naslund, 26 and 9 goals. Pius Suter had 9 goals and 20 points, as well as McDavid, who only ended up playing 17 games. I think in real life right now, McDavid's up to like 9 points in 3 games, something crazy like that. Austin Matthews is pretty much going to take home all the individual awards. The Norris is going to go to Cale Makar. Obviously, the Conn Smythe to Miller. Ilya Samsonov is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke will go to Mario Lemieux of the Pittsburgh Penguins. As we now head to season number 2, hopefully we see some new teams win the Stanley Cup, or even maybe a dynasty here in Vancouver will unfold. I don't have those answers, but let's go ahead and find out. So at the end of the second season, the Dallas Stars, who actually literally just won last night in overtime to finally win their first game against Vegas, they're going to win 50 games on the season. They're going to be the best team in the NHL, followed by the Tampa Bay Lightning. Colorado was up there. Buffalo won 48 games. I literally did nothing to their roster. Detroit was good, and of course, the defending Stanley Cup champion Vancouver Canucks won 48 games. At the bottom, we have San Jose, Arizona, and the New York Islanders, 3 straight poverty franchises. Austin Matthews again is going to dominate, this time leading in goals with 65 and points with 121. I have a feeling he's going to dominate this entire simulation because EA Sports, they love their Matthews, man. Every time you upgrade this guy even a little more, even just up a few overalls, and he's putting up like 70 goals and 130 points every season. Oh, Steven Stamkos, who had 41 goals and 117 points. Claude Giroux had a very good year at 113. Marner had 113 as well. Lemieux has kind of been quiet, only 105 points. Forsberg had 104. William Nylander had his very first 100-point season. On the goals side, Matthews, of course, is going to lead with 65, followed by Mario's 61. Lemieux's not putting up a lot of apples. He's more of a goal scorer, I guess, in this. I mean, they do have him listed as a sniper. Jason Robertson had 55, Pasta 54, Rantanen 48. Trevor Zegras ended up with 45 goals and 100 points and still somehow was a -3 on the season. Cale Makar again is going to lead all D-man in scoring, 20 goals, 99 points. Shout out Wayne Gretzky. Jake Ottinger is going to lead all goalies and wins with 40, followed by Vasi, who had 39. Grubauer had 38 and Demko 38. Now on the shutout side, it's going to be a two-way tie between Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Thatcher Demko, as they would each end up having 5 shutouts on the season. And here we go again, second year in a row, second playoffs in a row. Let's see if the Vancouver Canucks can go back-to-back, or will a new team emerge as Stanley Cup champions. And in the Stanley Cup finals, we have the Colorado Avalanche up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yes, somehow Toronto actually made it here. So we have Austin Matthews versus Peter Forsberg and Cale Makar. Let's see who's going to go on and end up taking home the Stanley Cup. And for the first time since 1967, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to go on and win the Stanley Cup. I would be surprised if anybody watching this video was alive the last time Toronto won it. But finally, after many years of failure and disappointment, all the struggle that they put their team through over the last 50-some seasons, the Toronto Maple Leafs are now Stanley Cup champions, as Austin Matthews is going to win the Conn Smythe, 17 goals and 32 points. I mean, he's been the best player in this video so far. He is a 99, so he should finally be producing like one, at least in the playoffs, as he does not have the greatest track record. And there it is, the Stanley Cup about to be raised here in Colorado, as here comes Johnny T, the man who came home and is finally going to bring back the Stanley Cup to the Maple Leafs, as they have won it all here in season number 2. Congratulations, Toronto. No more suffering for you guys, I guess. But I mean, in real life right now, you guys are down 3-1 to Boston, which is hilarious. Matthews is going to go ahead and lead the NHL, or lead the playoffs in scoring, with 17 goals and 32 points, followed by Mitch Marner, who had 24. Draisaitl had 23, also 14 goals in 15 games. Cale Makar had 23, Tage Thompson 22, Nylander 22, and Gretzky only 3 goals in 15 games. At a 99 overall, Gretzky is not simulating very well whatsoever. I mean, the dude only had 21 goals and 87 points on the season. Matthews again is going to win all the awards. The Norris will go to Cale Makar, the Conn Smythe to Matthews, the Vezina to Vasilevsky, and the Selke Trophy is going to go to Eric Lindros of the Philadelphia Flyers, who I don't believe I've ever seen win the Selke. Now, at the end of season number 3, the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to go ahead and finish as the best team in the NHL. They won 55 games, followed by the greatest team of all time in the Edmonton Oilers. Toronto is very good, Colorado, Pittsburgh, and Boston. Obviously, Toronto's the defending champs, which, I mean, they have not been able to say that since 67. If we take a look at the bottom right quick here, Nashville, Arizona, and Montreal are the 3 worst teams in the entire NHL this season. Austin Matthews again is going to dominate, 79 goals and 139 points, followed by Nikita Kucherov, who had 124. Stammer had 121. Trevor Zegras had an amazing season. I mean, 51 goals and 121 points is insane. Nylander, Marner, Lemieux had a bit of a better season. Vladimir Tarasenko is going to score his very first 100-point season. I mean, he had 40 goals and 100 points, of course. I believe his career high was actually 2 years ago in St. Louis. He had 34 goals and 82 points. For the contract that he signed a long time ago, that's slightly disappointing. I mean, he was a consistent like 37, 40 goal man and around like 70 points per season. Now, for goals, other than Matthews, Lemieux is going to have the second most at 69, followed by Stammer, who had 53. Zegras is 51. Eric Lindros and Patrick Laine also scored 50. Rasmus Dahlin's going to lead all D-man in scoring. It was not the 99 overall Cale Makar, who's only going to have 12 goals on the season. Andrei Vasilevsky is going to lead the NHL in wins with 45, followed by Allmark's 41 and Gibson's 41. And now for shutouts, it's going to go to, it's a 2-way tie between Igor and Alexander Georgiev, as they both had 7 on the season. And this is our season number 3 Stanley Cup playoff bracket. And in the finals, we have a rematch of 2022 between the Avs and Tampa Bay. Obviously, we're going to have Steven Stamkos up against Makar and Peter Forsberg. All 99 overalls in this series, but who's going to be the one to raise the Stanley Cup? And the Tampa Bay Lightning will get it done over the Avalanche in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Finals, as they go on and win another Stanley Cup, adding to their dynasty, really. I mean, in real life, they're struggling right now with Florida. They were down 3-0, won game number 4. They're headed back to Florida. Who knows what will happen in that series? But here in NHL 24, Tampa Bay again is Stanley Cup champions, as Nikita Kucherov's going to win the Conn Smythe, 11 goals and 27 points. He gets his first of his career. He arguably should have had one already, but maybe not. I mean, Vasi did definitely deserve it in 21, but Kucherov statistically is one of the better playoff performers in NHL history. And there it is, the Stanley Cup gonna be raised to the Lightning yet again, captained by a 99 overall Steven Stamkos, who now is coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the 3rd time in his career, as Tampa Bay has done it yet again. And they are Stanley Cup champions. Mikko Rantanen is going to lead the NHL in scoring for the playoffs with 32 points, followed by Forsberg, who had 28, Kucherov at 27, Stammer 26, Drouin actually had 7 goals and 24 points. Again, Austin Matthews is going to dominate. The Norris will go to Cale Makar, the Conn Smythe to Kucherov. Tristan Jarry is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke again to Eric Lindros. As we are simulating in season number 4, let me know in the comments below who you guys think are going to take home the Stanley Cup in the playoffs this season. There's some very good teams that are still alive. Some teams are not out of it yet, but are basically done. I'm looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs being down 3-1 in their series. I mean, honestly, it's been a tradition at this point every single season. Around the same time as well, we all collectively crap on the Toronto Maple Leafs for failing, just like they did the season prior. Now, at the end of season number 4, Dallas is going to go ahead and be the best team, winning 54 games. 3 more points than Edmonton, but the same amount of wins, as the Oilers are right on their tail. Tampa Bay had 51, Colorado 49, Carolina had 52 wins. Oh my God, they only had 5 overtime losses. At the bottom, we pretty much have the same team: San Jose, St. Louis, and Seattle. Also Chicago, who of course are not a good hockey team. Patrick Kane is going to go ahead and lead the NHL in scoring with 126 points. Finally, it's somebody other than Matthews. Matthews did come in second place though with 121, followed by Mitch Marner, who had 110. Elias Pettersson had a good season. Gretzky only 104. Zegras 103. Also, shout out to Vladimir Tarasenko. Matthews is, of course, going to lead in goals with 65, followed by Lemieux, who had 58. Patrick Kane had 56. Kaprizov 52. Robo and Rantanen had good seasons. Miller had 49. Tarasenko 48. Cale Makar is going to have 11 goals and 100 points, leading all defensemen. Jay Gottinger is going to have the most wins at 47, and the most shutouts will go to Andrei Vasilevsky, who had 7. And this is our Stanley Cup playoff matchups here in season number 4. And finally, here we are in the Stanley Cup Finals. The Tampa Bay Lightning trying to go back-to-back with Steven Stamkos up against the Edmonton Oilers, who of course have Gretzky and McDavid. They are both a 99 overall, looking for their very first Stanley Cup here in the video. And unfortunately, the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to go back-to-back as they sweep the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals. 4 straight games, 4 straight wins for Tampa Bay, as they are going to go back-to-back yet again. Also winning their 4th Stanley Cup of the Stammer era. I mean, what a dynasty they are. Speaking of the Devil, Stammer is going to win the Conn Smythe, 11 goals and 28 points. Definitely well-deserved, as he's one of the most underrated players of the 2010s. And there it is, the Stanley Cup going to be raised again to Tampa Bay for back-to-back seasons, as they are just so hard to beat. And you give them a 99 overall player on their team, and they literally become God. As here comes Stammer again for the 4th time in his career, lifting the Stanley Cup. The Tampa Bay Lightning have gone back-to-back, and now we have one final season that sets up the grand finale of this video. Leon Draisaitl is going to lead the NHL playoffs in scoring. He had 18 goals and 32 points. Gretzky had 31, Makar 30, Stammer 28, McDavid 27, and McKinnon 27. Patrick Kane is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross and Hart Trophy. Matthews, of course, is going to win the Maurice Richard. The Norris will go to Cale Makar, the Conn Smythe to Stammer. Vasi is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke will go to Mario Lemieux. Now, at the end of the 5th and final season, the Vancouver Canucks are going to finish as the best team in the NHL, winning 51 games, followed by Tampa Bay, who are the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions. They actually had more wins but less overtime losses, and ultimately 1 less point on the season, followed by the Red Wings, who had 50 wins. Philadelphia was up there with Eric Lindros at a 99. Colorado had a good season, and the Edmonton Oilers. Steven Stamkos is going to end up leading the entire NHL in scoring. Actually, no, him and Draisaitl would tie at 119 apiece, followed by Patrick Kane, who had 112, Kucherov 107, Rantanen 104, Eric Lindros was up there. Now on the goal side, Matthews is going to lead with 60, followed by Kaprizov, who had 59, Pasta had 56, Lemieux 52, Stammer 51, and Lindros 51 as well. Cale Makar, of course, is going to dominate, 13 goals, 98 points. He is the only 99 D-man in the entire game. so I did expect him to take home every single Norris Trophy. Thatcher Demko is going to lead in wins with 44, and for shutouts, it's going to go to Martin Brodeur, who had 8. So perhaps he might actually take home the Vezina for, I believe, the first time in the video. 36 wins, 8 shutouts, a 924 save percentage, and 241 GAA. And this is it. This is our 5th and final playoff bracket. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, we have the Colorado Avalanche up against the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, obviously, Colorado lost to Tampa Bay, I believe, 2 years ago. Carolina yet to win a Stanley Cup in this video. I don't believe they have any 99 overall players on the roster, so this should be a clean sweep for Colorado, as they do have Peter Forsberg and Cale Makar. And somehow the Carolina Hurricanes are going to go on and win the Stanley Cup with 0 99 overall players on the roster. They actually beat Colorado, who has 2, and somehow they're going to get it done in 6 games. They were pretty dominant as well. I mean, there's not really much to say here. The only cover athlete that they did have was Eric Staal, but I could not find him in the game, unfortunately. I wanted to add him back to Carolina and put him at a 95 overall, but it looks like they didn't need it, as Teuvo Teravainen is going to win the Conn Smythe, 12 goals and 26 points. No Eric Staal, no problem. We got Jordan Staal, baby. And finally, Carolina is going to be able to raise the Stanley Cup yet again for the first time since 2006 when they beat my Oilers, as here comes their captain. I mean, we could pretend this is Eric Staal. I mean, he's got Staal in the last name of his jersey, but he's finally going to raise the Stanley Cup for, I believe, the second time, as Jordan Staal was on the 09 Penguins when they won the Stanley Cup with Crosby, Malkin, Letang. I mean, I think Sergei Gonchar was there. Peter Forsberg is going to lead the NHL in scoring for the playoffs. He had 12 goals and 31 points, followed by Cale Makar, who had 30, Rantanen 26, Teravainen 26, and Seth Jarvis had 21. Seth Jarvis, low-key, has been breaking out this season. He's still very young, only 21 years old. Actually, he might be 22 at the time. Stammer is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. Matthews, the Maurice Richard, the Norris again to Makar. Teravainen, the Conn Smythe. Martin Brodeur is going to win his very first Vezina in the video, and the Selke Trophy will go to Eric Lindros yet again. And that is going to do it for this video, boys. I have gone ahead and I have made every single active NHL cover star a 99 overall in NHL 24. I also brought back a few of older ones, some of the legends that were on the EA Sports cover. And I mean, the only team that really dominated and went back-to-back was Tampa Bay. Obviously, we had Toronto win a Stanley Cup in Vancouver. And then the final season, somehow Carolina got it done. I have no idea how, but they did. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you leave some support on it. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see next. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.